welcome to St. Paul's University, the live podcast edition with the Vibe Podcast with me, your host, Chief Sam. And hey, today we are with someone amazing, a person of his own caliber. Karibu sana to the Vibe Podcast and this live podcast edition with St. Paul's University. I think with further ado, I'd like you to just introduce yourself and let us know what do you do and what are you good at in this world of ours. Karibu sana.
Okay, thank you. So my name is Ronald Owino, and I'm popularly known as Kray Sheeva. I'm a creative filmmaker, film director. I'm a producer. I'm a production designer. I'm also an editor and a director of photography. On the other side, I'm also the head of post-production at the Kenya International Theatre Festivals and also Kenya International Theatre Awards. I'm an accountant by profession at Shape Engineering Services. And I'm a filmmaker, and that's why I'm here.
Actually, one thing I like about your introduction is how you are all round in everything. This means one thing, that you have to try as much as possible to be good at so many things before you find out what you're really good at. Let me ask you, on film and matters of production and all that, was it your dream to be where you are?
Okay, actually started film by chance. Because I was a student at St. Paul's University.
Also, you were an alumni of this campus.
Yeah, exactly. So I was actually pursuing the bachelor's in business administration and management, and I majored in finance. But when I was as a student, passion started growing as a photographer. I became a photographer. But then the main aim of becoming a photographer was to tell stories using pictures.
Oh, okay.
But as time went by, I realized that I can actually tell stories more in videos than photos. Yeah, so from there is when my passion started growing as a filmmaker.
Oh, nice. This puts me to one question. Do you feel like pictures and videos and even the newspapers as a form of media, are there ones that are way heavier compared to the rest in our chronological order? Is it videos, then pictures, then writings, or how would you place it yourself?
Okay, I think all of what you've stated are important and are more relevant when it comes to storytelling aspect, because without writing you cannot film. Even if you have the best cameras, the best pictures, or even if you have anything that you want to tell stories with, you cannot tell them. For example, newspapers, we use them as a form or as a tool of getting ideas for telling stories, because newspapers are a form of writings that some of the filmmakers get their ideas inspired from stories that have been written in newspapers and other forms of writings. Yeah.
Very true. Also, each and every one of them kind of like connect one or the other.
Yeah, there is a interconnection.
One or the other. Well, yeah. Once you start with paper, there's a way you'll meet pictures. There's a way also video will be needed to support your work to be better.
Exactly. Reason being, for example, a typical example is when you want to tell stories using pictures, where do you begin? That's the question.
Okay.
You will have to begin through writing. And some of the writings on stories that we tell, they're inspired from novels, newspapers, and books.
Yeah, true.
So stories starts from writing. Writing is actually the initial process of film production, because actually in the pre-production process, before we get to actually doing the actual production of the film, we actually start by writing. That is the basis.
The basis.
Yeah. Write media or even the published media form a vital role when it comes to the production in film.
Okay. Also, one thing, and I think I've also realized it, like you've talked about novels and everything. Even when you look at most of the movies, the films that are out there, most of them are usually based from creating one point to the other, whereby it was once written and now visuals were needed now to put more concrete to that story. Especially on historical films, whereby maybe World War II, World War I, our independence as Kenya. So I believe that's one thing I can also say, that they connect in one or the other. To you, how well can you like say we've come as a country here in Kenya? How far have we gone to?
Actually, among the most rapid growing industries currently in Kenya is film. Because now it's evident. For the first time, Kenya has been nominated close to 7 nominations in the African Magic Viewers' Choice Awards this year. It has never happened before. So this actually is paving way, and we have actually won some of the awards. So it's actually tell us that Kenya industry is growing, film industry is growing. There are more even films in some of the streaming platforms such as Showmax, Netflix. And it is a way of showing how
Well, we've come
yeah,
from.
okay.
Oh, nice, nice. Because I believe, as compared to our neighboring countries, Kenya, we are really doing a lot of work in creating good film.
Yeah.
And actually, I think for me, with even the start of our little advertisements that we do here in Kenya, they are there are many creatives outside here. And I'm sure you've been a part of these production sites whereby you see an ad being created from way zero, a point whereby everyone starts with an idea that we want this advert to be like this, we want this film to be like this. So it's a good thing. And you've talked about Showmax and everything that helps film to go outside there. What do you think the digital space has helped? Has it helped more? Has it closed you guys more? Or where can we put the digital space? The likes of internet, Netflix, Showmax, and etc.
Actually, the digital space has paved more way for creatives. A typical example is it has given rise to online media.
Okay, okay.
We have online content creators. It has
Yeah.
provided jobs, employment.
True, true.
Another typical thing of which digital media has enhanced is we have, for example, the rise of streaming platforms for films. So this means it's paving way
For so
other
much.
spaces for filmmakers to show their work. For example, typical examples of streaming platforms, Showmax, Netflix.
Yeah.
We have My Movies Africa. So actually it has enlarged the consumption of film to a greater audience, because not each and every individual can afford to go to the theater to watch the same film. But some of the people just prefer getting online into the internet and watching the same film at an affordable fee.
At an affordable fee. So, do you feel like the digital space kind of overtakes the traditional ways of media up to where we are currently? Or, and another question to that is, do you feel like the traditional media, as much as possible, helped to shape up where the film is currently in the society?
Okay.
It's a safe space.
Yeah, it is a milestone. Of course, for us to reach where we are, of course, we moved miles away from traditional. Okay,
Yeah,
so
true, true.
traditional founded the basis of where we are currently. Nowadays, okay, currently, the digital media is overtaking the traditional one.
That's very
Reason
true.
being, for example, a typical example is the rise of the online media. Now you can find that the online media is competing heavily with the television.
True,
Okay?
true, true,
Because nowadays you can just get online and get an instant news alert.
Very true, very
Yeah,
true.
as
At the pocket,
compared to-
just with a dial too,
Yeah.
and you're good to go.
Yeah, exactly. As compared to just waiting for at
7
least 7 p.m. or 4 p.m. for you to watch the news to know what happened.
Yeah,
So the online media and the digital space is overtaking the current media. Reason being, nowadays even not most audiences when it comes to film consume television. Most of them consume the streaming platform. They pay the monthly subscriptions because from the streaming platforms you can get the latest movies, but in some of the television they give you restrictions on the kind of movies you can watch.
And then the times now, because there's news, there's advertisement, and now I think everybody is trying as much as possible to make sure that they avoid as much as many as advertisement from their television. And that's why I think we are getting more of, how do you call these TVs, that now have YouTube in them, that now have Amazon, Spotify, as much as possible, because TV is not only TV nowadays. We're not only buying it for movies or for news per se, but we're trying also to make sure that it's a form of entertainment, and also we get what we want from it as much as possible. So I I kind of like the way you've placed it in one or the other. And something that I wanted to know, do you feel like the challenges, which you'll tell me, uh, that you experience right now are because of people are not fully aware of the digital space that has been created for you creatives in film sector?
Challenges will always be there in each and every industry.
In each and every
Yeah.
industry.
So, some of the challenges that are being faced nowadays for the content creators and the likes, some of them have been stipulated, they are everywhere. A typical example, for you to get a great content, a great quality content, you will actually need some of the equipment to do your production, to just get your equipment right, get your lighting right, and then film that content for it to be posted online. So there's some limitations. Most of the guys who are on the online space are youths. And most
True.
of the youths, for example, here in Kenya, they don't have any source of employment. But then they can actually shoot with their phone, but some of the phones don't have that quality.
Yeah, as much as those phones are there, you cannot compare them with the gears
Yeah, exactly.
that are around here.
So some of you see some of those challenges have made it a bit difficult for the current content creators to produce good contents for the digital media. But then as time goes, things begins now to change, because for the first time we have seen the government is trying to put in measures in order to consider the digital space in the current economy.
Yeah. I've seen with the Ministry of Youths. And they really, I think it's just some few weeks ago they launched something to do with the Talanta building, the Talanta Hell, the Talanta. I think it's Talanta Hella building or something.
Yeah, it is Talanta. Yeah, Talanta building, but they have Talanta Hella for giving contributions to content creators and talents. Yeah.
Do you think that's a good move, or do you think that is going to be achieved? You, as one person who has been in this sector for a while now, whatever the government is trying to do in the Talanta initiative, because one thing I heard what Ababu Namamba said is they look for you, they nurture you. Actually, he said Mambo ni matatu. They look for you, they nurture you, and then they make sure that that talent brings money to you. And also, by nurturing, I'm sure they'll provide that mechanism to be able for you to get good gears, because for you to be able to move from point A to point B, as much as you're a good writer, you need equipments. You'll need a team, and this team needs to be paid. So do you feel like the government, that initiative that they have created, will bring a good space to your industry?
That one I can't I can't actually speak, because I'll just tell it on my own perspective.
Okay.
So a typical example is currently the government is trying. But then we need the actualization of what they're saying for us to believe that they mean what they're saying. So there's a film industry and content creation industry is expensive.
That's for a fact.
It's expensive.
That's
so
true.
some of the things, there are some of the measures that they can take in order to help content creators to minimize the challenges that they're facing. A typical example, if these equipments, when they're imported in Kenya, they're usually highly expensive. They can just reduce the taxes so that most of the content creators may afford the equipments, and then they should get content creators on table and get to understand the challenges that they are facing. But it will be just like a mere
a celebration event, and everybody goes home.
Yeah. So they can't just come and tell us about all the ambitions and everything that they want to do for the content creators and all the youths when it comes to talents and everything, if they haven't put into consideration the challenges that they are facing. And also, me, for example, nakwambia, let me just speak in Kiswahili.
Yes.
I'll be comfortable. Like unapata like gava hizo stories zao watasema but kama hawajakuja kuzifanya, we can't believe them because youth sahii mali wamefika wamekuwa shut down kabisa. Wali lose hope in government. But if they can actually watakuja wafanye hizo stuff zenye wanaambia youth na wa actualize kama hiyo talanta hela hizo do ziletwe wapatie youth hizo do alafu hizo do zikuwe na impact, then from there tutasema like government imefanya kitu. Otherwise kama hatujaziona na macho hizo ni mere speculations zenye tumezoea kuona kwa TV.
Well, I'm really hoping and praying. One thing I can say that it's a good initiative, and I'm really hoping and praying that the government is able to look for these people, nurture them, because there are so many youths outside here who have talent. And it starts way back from spaces whereby they were comfortable and now they were like, you know what, I can do A, B, and C like you. You started with the pictures, later on you're like, you know what, I think I need to try something else. So mse kama wewe ukiwa notice as early as possible, unaweza create a good space in that industry. And that for a fact brings me to the places that nurture you, like places of tertiary level, starting from our high school to tertiary level. For you, like you are here at St. Paul's, you are doing something totally different, far-fetched from it. And that's why I usually say the tertiary education in Kenya, one thing I like about it is they give you that space of being able to learn. That space of, like, yeah, you came to do A, B, and C here, but hey, we have occasions, we have events. Try as much as possible to be in that given space pia, because kitu nimerealize currently, for example, even for your university and in the School of Communication per se, one thing I've noticed here is how competent they try as much as possible to give people like you good spaces. Because I've had things when we were talking on the background on how you did a lot of things here, being able to be in different spaces at the same time, doing your studies, and it kind of shifted your way of thinking, and that's a good thing. So I usually feel like even schools where we all go to, people should try as much as possible to do their best. And one thing I'd like to know, do you think talent should also be nurtured? Because, let me say, for you, was that like a close to a talent thing that you really focused on? And do you feel like talent pays?
I'll ask you a question before I answer it. Why do we have CBC?
Why do we?
So the typical thing is that talent pays.
True.
Because when, for example, a typical example, you just see how our government, how our country, our status of unemployment is.
True.
So you'll start thinking about where will we get other source of income. And that's where talent comes in. Because talent, it is inborn, it is something that you are born with, it's something that you can do comfortably, and it's something that can generate income. Yeah.
So once nurtured, inakuja na kila kitu mzuri.
But the funniest thing, when you are talented in something, no one can ever take it from you.
No matter what.
No matter what. And how best you do it will pave way for even more income.
Actually, it's the same thing when I had a guest on my podcast a while ago, and while I was introducing a podcast, she was like, that was some good introduction you did there. And then I sat down and I'd be like, you know what, even if you wake me up at 4 a.m. to do this, I'll do it comfortably, because this is what I like, this is what I believe in, and this is what I'm good at. And for the 4 years that I've been into it, I've nurtured it into being something quite professional. So, like you've said, talent, when nurtured very well, also creates some good space in this given industry that we are. Because right now, and I like our generation, right now it's not all about the office work, wearing official, like I am wearing official right now, but it's all about what you're good at and try as much as possible to enjoy it, because hii maisha ni moja. So once you do something you love, it makes it even better. So to just ask you this, Kray, what do you think is the future of digital space and where we are heading with film and people like us, podcasters, bloggers outside there?
So digital media is growing at a very alarming rate. So as how I'm envisioning it, in the near future, we'll have like hizi stories traditional forms of media zitakuwa totally zimepotea. Reason being, kama kitambo tulikuwa tuna watch TV juu iko na good programs, na tulikuwa naona iko na news, because hiyo ndio ilikuwa the only option yenye iko, si ndio? Kitambo wase walikuwa wanasoma newspapers because ungetaka kujua nini inaendelea kama uliata news, utasoma kwa newspaper na utajua what happened. But currently, just angalia what is happening currently. The physical newspaper, the printed one, siku hizi inaisha kwa market. Unaona? It is vanish completely. Nowadays we have digital newspapers.
Yeah. Actually, you subscribe to it, others you subscribe, yeah.
We have bloggers when you wanna post their stories, online contents, unaona?
Yeah, true.
Alafu, if it's a matter of movies, kuna streaming platforms imerise. Unaona, because reason ukiwatch movie kwa TV, a typical example, TV pia iko na schedule yake. So unapata like most probably time yenye uko free ndio time yenye program yako haiko. So utata hiyo program, na TV huwezi rudi una rewind unawatch the film, unaona. But for streaming platforms online zinakupatia
that an option,
unaweza watch film more times, na hata ikireleasiwa sahi you can still watch it
because it's there in the internet, you just need to look for it.
Then you have your preference to choose which genre you want to watch. So iko na hiyo freedom. But for the purpose of for TV na hizi other forms of traditional forms of media zina limit wase. So as time goes, mi naona tukifika place mali tutakuwa na TV, yes, but tutakuwa watch everything online.
Tunaitumia through just to make sure that you've watched something online. I think itafika sometimes you just buy it so that you have some big screen to be able to watch something now more
actually
better.
it is more funny because unapata like unaona in film, the more the image become bigger, the more ina replicate realism. That's why we have big screens kwa theaters. Because the more ukiangalia, for example, if you just see someone on a screen anatushana na wewe, it appears more realistic.
Exactly.
That's why we even have home theaters. Home theaters for sound, inamaanisha they're trying to replicate the sound in theater. That's why zinaitwa home theater.
Home theater. Oh,
unaona?
Nice.
Yeah. So unapata like nowadays some families wanaanza create hizo big screens.
Yeah.
And I'm sure it'll get even to a point that we won't have this physical screen.
Yeah, true.
Maybe itakuwa ni like LED na kwa displayed na unawatch online. I know like digital media, the way vile tunaenda, because kuna talks, hata ukiangalia kwa internet, kuna talks, watu wanatry kuinvent some things zenye zitafanya even hiyo space ya digital media ikuwe access in another way.
In another way. And actually we've talked about big screens, but the funny part for me, there are movies by the once I see them out, I just want to see them in a big screen. Because the way you've put it, there's a way when you look at them, the way they're huge like you, the 3D is also coming in very hard. Once you feel like that thing is on your face right here. You are part of the film. You try as much as possible to enjoy it more compared to when you view it. Okay, you can also view it in your phone, but okay, as a pattern option whereby you now view film in a big screen, it's usually more enjoyable. And that's why I usually find it weird when people tell me like, mtu anaenda theater na analala.
You know, the experience ya theater na the way vile unaweza watch movie kwa gadget inakuwa totally different. For a person mwenye jai ingia theater, haezi understand. Unaona, because the more the image iko small, the more haikui realistic. But the more ina widen, inakuwa more realistic. Unaona? That's why unaona in theaters, sahi Hollywood kuna theaters zenye wana create, even wanaeka temperature controls. Unaona? So like if kama, for example, in that screen, tuseme msee anatembea kwa snow, kuna baridi,
mnasikia hata nyinyi.
They just play around with the conditioners, pia the temperature in the theater inakuwa cold, so inaku bring more into that experience of that nini.
Nice,
so nice. Those are some of the advancements zinamekiwa to but on side ya film ku make film ikue more enjoyable
and realistic,
yeah,
because I think the more realistic it is, the better.
Yeah.
And I think we must also give credit to people like you who make sure the editing is top notch. Because there's a movie manzo unaona movie iko fiti lakini editing yake how do you call the VFX as it makes sense.
Do you know like in film film is a process because me hata sometimes naangaliaga zile film nilianza nazo zinaanza kushuta hapa then I'm like
you cringe kidogo
nini nilikuwa na shoot hapa hivi unaona but you have to start somewhere.
You are building
into
something
process provided that umejitolea like no decide like this is the way to go because for example article example mimi nilikuwa nakujaga na spend time kwa amphitheater unaona
that's why we are currently
at the back huko na laptop yangu but most of the people walikuwa like msee ana spending too time kwa amphitheater most of the time na anatumia internet but they didn't know like msee what was this guy thinking about what nini msee ufanya kwa internet unaona but then hii growth yote because nilienda nikasomea film elsewhere unaona but then siwezi credit everything in that institution because nilienda kama already I know what
ushajua kitu
nishajua most of the things unaona so internet ina assist online media same mimi nimelearn most of the things kwa film siwezi pea watu credits at is you msali nifundisha hizi because mimi nilianza kujifundisha on my own na nilianzaga na online channels pale YouTube tutorials
how to edit ABNC
from scratch.
Nice.
But then we started filming with phone with my friends hapa hivi I had like 3 friends when tulianza na wao tulianzaga kushoot na ile it was an iPhone ile ndogo na ilikuwa big deal your time
the
then
camera quality was top notch
tukashoot na Infinix before sasa nianze kupata camera but then hata siku purchase my own camera at that point in time nilianza na kuomba wase just making connections with friends in order to achieve my own objectives.
So it's a journey.
Yeah, it's a journey.
It's a journey that is built up.
Exactly.
So wale wenye bado wana grow, you would advise them to keep on nurturing that talent in that space. Because itafika mahali pia, it's better you go somewhere while you know something. Like we're just talking about radio a while ago, and those spaces whereby when you come to us, come while you have something. Not that we don't like amateurs, but ebu kuja kama unajua, be an intermediate hapo katikati makes it more fun for us to know if we can elevate you or we can drop you. So to wrap this up, what can you put out there to people who are trying film, people who are doing their best to work on their talent and their spaces that they are on?
So this is what I can tell especially filmmakers, because hapo ndio
your space is at.
Yeah, that's where my space is. Filmmaking is a process and it's a journey. If you want to create a good film, spend more time in planning. Spend more time in planning, do a proper research, find a good idea of the story that you want to tell. A typical example of where wasengu kujaga kuniambia ati manze mimi sina idea ya film unaona lakini nataka kushoot, then I am like the ideas are everywhere, stories are everywhere. Ukika pale kwa mat unasikia patanisho, those are stories you need to write and tell them through film. Unaona ukika somewhere tuseme for example mimi uko gamsefani sana naweza wana walevi wanapigana pale na niende nisimame na ni watch but you don't know why. Unaona, but as a filmmaker or as a director you just have to take it as an opportunity of getting an idea of a story that you can write or you can tell or even getting an idea of how different people behave in different scenarios. So that when for example ukikam ku direct your cast unajua yes nataka kumdirect akwe kama mlevi
And just to thank you so much for coming through and for being able to like educate these people on matters of film and everything. And I hope that people who are able to do A, B, and C outside there can be able to be that patient and also try and possible to trust that process. Sindio. So I think we'll have to wrap it up from there with us. And thank you so much for coming to the show. This is our first live event, by the way, with the partnership with the St. Paul's University. And thank you so much for honoring to be that guest. And I think for all the lives that we'll be having, you'll be the first person that will ever come to our mind here.
At least as a filmmaker, I've made an history
You've made an history in appearing into a podcast and
for the first time.
for the first time, Maze. Thank you so much for coming. So till next time, guys, this has been the live show via St. Paul's University and the Vibe podcast. I hope you've enjoyed this. And hey, make sure you subscribe to that YouTube channel. If you're listening on Spotify, follow us also there. And also, hey, leave that comment. What did you want to ask? That you can also pitch an idea to Mr. Kray over here to open up on more about film. I'll put the link to his work and also reach out to his socials. Akona kazi safi sana. Sindio? Asante sana for this given opportunity. Till next time, this has been your host, Chief Sam. Peace out.